Inspiration, motivation, great advice, and biting opinion pieces as only Eddie Frederick can deliver. Eddie Frederick has got it all. EDDIE-FICATIon with consultant human resource development and training specialist Eddie Frederick is powered by Grenada Cooperative Bank Limited and Tillian Group Country Cold Store.
Self-isolation is not a prison sentence, but it's the safest way to protect the people around you from possibly getting sick. Continue to comfort whatever you need, even when in quarantine. Use Coop Bank's e-banking to transfer funds to a close friend or family member's account and get them to do your shopping for you. Log on to www.grenadacoopbank.com and sign up for Coop Bank's e-banking.
I want the best for my family, so every meal has to be perfect. Every bite has to say, There's no doubt in my mind that the best in frozen meats and vegetables has to come from the Country Cold Store. Hams, turkeys, sausages, beef, pork, chicken. I just don't know my family is in safe hands. Thank you, Country Cold Store, for being there for us for the past 40 years.
The Country Cold Store, providing the best in frozen meats and vegetables since 1969.
Co-op Bank introduces e-payments, our new e-banking feature that allows you to send money to friends or family. E-payments, the swift, simple, and secure way of transferring money.
Welcome home. Believe in our strength, we'll stand by you. Protection from all perils, big and small. Reassurance we get, it's so classy. Peace of mind, that's our service guarantee. We look after all our family. Yes, we do at every opportunity.
Tillian Group, underwriters of all classes of insurance solutions for your protection and investment. Live well financially.
You are offered a wonderful opportunity to win a grocery coupon to the tune of EC $250, redeemable at any of the food fairs. All you've got to do to qualify is like, share, comment, and follow EDDIE-FICATIon on any of our social media platforms. This promotion continues for all of April with one draw on Friday, April 29th. The winner will be announced immediately after advising the said winner. Any overseas winner is asked to kindly transfer their winning to a relative or friend who lives in the state of Grenada. I am extending an open invitation to any individual or company tuned in to come on board and assist with our drive to whip up an interest in getting more of our young people to pull up their chair and pay attention to the instructive thoughts and ideas shared on this program as we seek to edify them to make better decisions that would help to shape a better future for themselves and the future security of the nation as a whole. Join me in bringing excitement to our audience with a chance to win something that can brighten their corner in these challenging times. Reach out and touch someone as regularly as you can afford. Of course, due recognition will be given to you for your active partnership in this regard. Thanks in advance.
Eddie Frederick has got it all. Inspiration, motivation, great advice, and biting opinion pieces as only Eddie Frederick can deliver. Eddie Frederick has got it all. Got it all.
Oh, yes, folks. Oh, yes, oh, yes, oh, yes. It's what a wonderful, wonderful evening it is. Indeed. I'd like to say welcome to all of you to my 70th Independent Live session and 16th for 2022 as we continue to send good vibes into the universe in preparation for all the positive vibes that we crave in spite of our many challenges. Folks, and God knows we are full of challenges, but this too shall pass. Don't you agree? I'm sure you would agree with that. Come on, continue to share the live so that we can get some more people in this particular room here tonight in the house. This being a Friday night, the end of a short week, but I'm sure a productive week for many. We have continued good news for you, and that, of course, happens to relate to If you're having any trouble viewing this on Facebook, this live particularly, visit my YouTube page, Eddie or Edward Frederick, or even Edification. And you are sure to be able to view and share this and any future live programs that I may be involved in. You can even make sure that you make your comments. You can like, follow, and even subscribe. There's always a way around direct or indirect sabotage. And of course, we found it. So let us just celebrate this reality or realization and move on. Really happy that this live and any live going forward can now be viewed simultaneously on YouTube. So spread the word, spread the word. I remember hearing, I think it's last week, Lydia was quite happy to say that she's glad that if, of course, she ends up in Facebook jail or whatever, she can go across to YouTube and have a view. A big thank you to all of you for tuning in once more. Welcome to the newcomers of Edification, especially this particular 111th edition powered by Grenada Cooperative Bank. Wow, I'm having Mr. Mathlin in my head here, Grenada Bank of Commerce. No, Grenada Cooperative Bank, Antillean Group, and Country Coal Store. All local giants in their own right, each of which started with humility as a dot in the palm of the hands of the owners, and are today enjoying a great measure of exaltation by God's grace. You know, when they tell you God alone shares bread, they know what they are saying. Our topic today, a mind is like a parachute, best used when open, is one of my favorite sayings. In fact, we find the people with closed minds are the ones that open their mouths the most. Hence the load of noise in the market that leads to absolutely little to no sale. As I continue to mention to you, if you desire to become a winner of our $250 gift certificate for groceries redeemable at any of the food fairs, you're required to share, comment, follow, subscribe, and like Edification. Your name can be in the first 3 drawn for each week, which will be put in the final draw on Friday, April 29th. You're required to continue to share, comment, follow, and like Edification, whether you look at it live or after the fact, but within the specified period that is comfortable for this particular, semi-draws and the final draw at the end. Young people, I advise you again, pull up your chair and become edified so that you can wake up and finally realize that the deprivation and lack that you have been immersed in over the years, only you hold the key to unlocking your bondage. Go out, register, and vote. Get up early. In other words, the night before elections, make sure you ain't go out and form the fool. Because, some of you have parents that know you like to sleep. And if they only suspect you're going to vote for something different to what they are going to vote for, they will leave you sleeping. So you study your head and make sure you don't keep a late night that you can't wake up during the day the next day to go and vote. To convert that dipping of your finger into real action, positive and productive action for your lives going forward. So I want to take a little break here before we actually continue and beg of you to continue to share the live so that more people can come in and be edified.
EDDIE-FICATION with consultant human resource development and training specialist Eddie Frederick is powered by Grenada Cooperative Bank Limited, Antillean Group, Country Coal Store.
The strength of views and opinions expressed during Edification are not necessarily a reflection or representation of the sponsors and or affiliates of this program.
Eddie Frederick has got it all. Inspiration, motivation, great advice, and biting opinion pieces as only Eddie Frederick can deliver. Eddie Frederick has got it all.
Wonderful. Welcome back, folks. Minds are like parachutes, best used when open. What does this quote say to you? According to the regular Oxford School Dictionary, Ordinary Sutash, the word mind indicates one's thoughts, opinions, and intentions. The word parachute is defined as a device that decreases the motion of an object traveling through the atmosphere bound by gravity. So you know what that means. Who would come up with such an analogy, you may ask? Well, one of the people, and it is actually believed that it is actually Sir John Templeton, who was a formidable philanthropist. This is just one of the many nuggets of wisdom he has bequeathed to humanity as a means of teaching us how to live fuller and more meaningful lives. From his point of view, an open mind, like a parachute, holds the possibility of taking us to places and allowing us to accomplish dreams never thought possible before. I believe that this quote is about daring to think differently, creatively, and bravely. In life, there are many opportunities awaiting every single person, every single one of us. But it is your determination and your faith, your deep-rooted belief to turn that opportunity into reality that actually makes the difference. Initially, I believed this quote meant gliding down the blue sky on a tranquil day. Many questions ran through my mind like a racing car as I tried to identify the accurate meaning of this particular quote. Minds are like parachutes, best used when open. Evidently, when a parachute is open, you float down leisurely to the ground. On the other hand, when the parachute is closed, nothing but a pure unwanted disaster awaits the traveler. In the same way, an unopened parachute does not prevent a person from colliding with the ground. A clogged mind keeps you from having life-changing experiences for the better, of course. Just as a parachute is designed to operate properly when it is open, so is the mind, folks. If you don't allow your mind to unlock and scamper free, how are you supposed to reach your specific target and unfold your fullest potential? In my opinion, an open-minded thinker can better understand life's perspectives, experience unlimited learning, and achieve more success. What a pity our neck of the woods is so populated with closed-minded people. Many of us who blame our circumstances on where we live, on what we wear, and what we eat, etc., will have a new thinking on life if only we would approach our very lives with an open mind. You would never be stuck shooting the messenger and ignoring the message. Because in life, we can all learn something from someone, believe it or not. Instead, you would figure out that you were here to learn to develop the power of deductive reasoning, to be able to read and understand what you read, and generally to be prepared to become a great citizen of our independent nation, while you make your meaningful contribution right where you are. You ought to blossom and bloom right where you are planted, folks. You ought to have learned over the years of living the importance of punctuality and its relation to productivity, which helps to build a nation. You will learn to be a relevant person to society simply because you take your responsibilities seriously. When you die, your life will be celebrated instead of just mourned with crying and bawling. And then the next day, you are forgotten because you did not leave your mark. Folks, I just had to share this because the truth is, during the last 2 years in particular, from the beginning of 2020 to now, a lot of Grenadians died. But because we have become takers and not active contributors to life in this little nation, our contributions to national development seem to be zero, because all we're looking for a mess of pottage. You know, they were sharing seed money recently, and you see some strong, young, able-bodied people lining up and cussing and making mayhem to collect some free money, an encouragement of the laziness and pauperization of our nation. But in the last 2 years, a lot of people died, 99% of whom are forgettable. You know why? They contributed zilch, diddly squat to our civilization. But you know, only a few have actually created lasting impressions on us. Sir Royston Hopkins of Spice Island Beach Resort fame, Mr. Andre Sherman of Cuyaba Beach Resort fame, Sir Carlisle Glean, an educator and a former Governor General and politician, Mrs. Ursula Antwine, exemplary teacher, celebrated mother and family woman, Mrs. Wilma Sampson, dedicated teacher for all of her working life, Mr. Monty St. John, who evolved and reached to the highest position that a Grenadian probably ever reached in Barclays Bank history, Mr. Maurice Mathlin, former banker, Grenada Bank of Commerce, a man who has created a lot of people, a man who has helped people start businesses in this country. And of course, recently, God rest her soul as God rest the rest of them, their souls, Sister Judy Williams, community developer. Sister Judy, what should I say, dedicated her life to people development. But these are just 2, 4, 6, 8 names. Of course, that's from my point of view, because these are people I knew. But you need to check the number of people that you knew who died and can fit into this category of outstanding Grenadians who would have left a lasting positive legacy. Not a legacy of who was a thief and who was a con man and who was a this and who was a that and who was a Obia man and who was in Nigeria, cults, and who was... No, hello. Not that kind of rubbish. We're talking about people who were born here, who lived here, who, never mind how bad our civilization may have deteriorated, if it were not for them, it would have been worse. So they left their mark, and they have done their part, and they have now bid us farewell. Folks, the more you learn is the more ambitious you will become. Because when you are well learned, you want to manifest your growth and move up in life, which is the only direction each and every citizen of Grenada should be yearning to move. Not happy to be kept down and always fed a diet of low expectations. Because if you are not kept down, the people who are keeping you down will not have customers to support them. Now is your time to prepare for that bright future as you ready yourselves to hit the world of work on a daily basis, I'm sure you want the best for yourselves, folks. The best will not come by chance. You will see your appreciation for life increase when you realize the need to set new standards for yourselves. Some of you wake up on a daily basis to give trouble to others, and you place the high premium on socializing and interacting with each other. I went to an entity today. I spent probably about an hour, all told, in that particular entity. And I saw a worker with her back turned to customers, having a gossip fest with another employee. This employee is an outside contractor working in that environment. And you're looking for help. And that woman is none the wiser that her purpose there is to pay attention to the customers who make it possible for her. I had to go up to her and I said, that conversation must be really juicy, but I'm very, very, very sorry to interrupt. I need some help. Boy, you should see how that woman watched me. I was disturbing her reason for being there, which is to gossip. Folks, we're in a bad way, you know. And that is something ingrained in our DNA. This negative thing. We want to clock in, but we want to do our own thing. And if you have a boss, a manager, who would be like the slave driver, oh man, you have the worst things to say about him. But usually those places are very successful because you see the manager is aware of your purpose. If even you are not, and he will see to it that you are on purpose. And we have a lot of people who vex when they have a manager like that. But you know what is interesting? They never love the manager while they're working for him or her. But whenever they leave or get left, wherever next they end up, you know what is interesting? Listen to this, folks. They always say, I work with Mr. Eddie, and that could never happen if Mr. Eddie was the manager here. Isn't that interesting? They gone singing your praise. But while they were with you, they hated you. But they out there singing your praise because they now are in a different geography and they are missing your supervision because they now can compare. But folks, you cannot appreciate the taste of honey if you do not first know the taste of vinegar. You see, remember what I said just now? Some of you wake up on a daily basis to give trouble to others. And you place a high premium on socializing and interacting with each other instead of doing the job you came to do. Now, socializing on the job is fine because that's what we do on a daily basis. We socialize. But the true purpose of coming and waking up daily to gain discipline, folks, the aptitude and expand your capacity to be a useful citizen throughout your life. Could you imagine? You live for 50 years, you're dead. Somebody is trying to explain to another person who died. You were living for 50 years, you know, and you were a big secret. No description could enlighten the person as to who they're talking about. You know why? Because you were not a contributor. There are many people who never saw Sir Royston in the flesh. But when he died, it's like, oh gosh, he died? It's amazing, eh? You see how many people he touched just by his life, just by his purpose. And you know, it's so interesting that a lot of people that would work with him, for him, and serve his institution, the Spice Island Beach Resort, will become memorable just by virtue of plugging into that source. Well, his daughter is now in charge. And boy, is she doing a marvelous job. But you know what is interesting about that young lady? Focused. Wow. Focused. Because she has a vision. And many of the employees, the team members, believe in that vision. You could feel the difference already. And you know, for her to come up with giving us the ability to feel a difference, you know she has to be good, because Sir Royston was good. And a lot of doubters, a lot of doubting Thomases had no clue that she would have made a difference, because a lot of us are stuck in time, you see. But folks, we have turned up in this life to stand out, not to fit in. Too many of us have this mantra, I come with them. We need to stop coming with them and come with ourselves. I always tell people, when you hear I die on the news hit tongue, half of the people that couldn't stand me, we say, he should have dead long. And the other half that loved me, because you know, one of the things we have to appreciate is that the same thing people don't like you for is the same thing others love you for. Hello? But you know what is interesting? Even those that don't like me, when you put that half together with the half that like me, everybody know who died. Why? Because he lived. He beat his own drum. He danced to his own music. What about you? What are you doing? Living out of the expectations of others? Are you getting anywhere doing that? Cut it out. March to your own beat, folks. And if we have a nation doing that, oh man, you could imagine how formidable a civilization we will become. We probably could be known as the little island nation, with formidable citizens as against sheep going to the slaughter. Folks, we are here to serve one another. That's the main purpose of our life. We have to be alive and awake and conscious every step of the way. I had the recent occasion to remind many young people that the longest rope has an end. Those youths spent a limited amount of time at school, and then they grew up to the point where they never, folks, saw themselves as making it in life. Folks, what happened? When these same youth need a job or need to look for a job, and they go out to find one, they never prepared themselves for the growing up because they did not take responsibility for their learning. You know, one youth told me the other day, growing up is and becoming an adult is overrated, because nobody told them they would have had to pay their own bills. Nobody told them that they would have to work so hard to get money to buy a car, to live somewhere, to do this. It's overrated. But who told me? Nobody. Life does not come with a manual, folks. You find out as you go along. Reality set in, and they discovered they have no choice but to take responsibility for not being able to get a proper job because they flunked in school. Now they have to scramble for a placement in the newest vocation, brain parented by the geniuses we have had for leaders since 1995. Of course, I hope you pick up the sarcasm there. Many of these same young people whose dreams have been dashed are today saying, thank God for the debushing program. Otherwise, they would have had nothing to eat. And all I say to that is, oh, Gid. When we see ourselves as barrier breakers, we would show up with the right attitude to our various lives and carry out our various assignments with ease. We will see building ourselves as one of our main goals that prepares us for the next level, the realities of life. Come on, folks, share the live, because this is a straight talking too. A lot of you are getting tonight. Each of you should be grateful for just being alive. I was not bright in school. Oh, no. I was a free spirit. But I was brought up by a single mother who had it really hard. And at an early age, I said, I must help to change that, because that is not the type of life I want for myself. Where is your consciousness, young people? The kind of life you live now, is it the kind of life you want in perpetuity until you die? Hello? I had to learn to read properly, folks. At my age, up to 10, I could not read properly at all. Had no interest in reading. But a teacher named Mrs. Joyce Antoine, wife of the late CRT Antoine, God rest his soul, and mother of Dr. Patrick Antoine, Paul, and the whole lot. Can't remember the rest of their names now. She took me under her wings. And those were the days when teachers had caring as part of their DNA. She became my second mother. And although we may have been on two different wavelengths when it comes to political affinity, political views, and political sway, that woman was an interesting woman. She was always proud of me. Every time she saw me, she had to hug me and engage me. You know why? Because she would not be listening for my opposing views. She would be listening for the quality of my deliveries. And she knew she had a hand in that, a big hand in that, because she is who gave me the confidence to be this reader that I am today. My mother taught us some tough lessons early in life. I was the last of 5 children, and I had to learn to wash my own clothes at 9 years old. You see, she taught me responsibility early in life. I was one of the class clowns. And though my thinking and behavior back then may have been classified as cute and entertaining, if I did not know when to stop and move to the next level, I may have ended up being today one of the many class clowns who never transitioned. And God knows we have, for the most part, a nation of class clowns. But folks, in order to do something you've never done, you have to be prepared to become someone you've never been. Don't forget to ask for help in the process. Not because you're weak, but because you want to remain strong. Young people, as I've told you all too often, this is your time. I see somebody last night quoting from my dear friend and brother, Dr. Nicholas Earl Brathwaite. You know, the older generation, if they were to fix our problems, they would have fixed them already. We need the youth. Dr. Nicholas Earl Brathwaite. You see, a lot of older folks can't handle the talk today about youth, youth, youth. Well, if over 60% of the population fall into the category of youth, who must be the focus? The 35% or the over 60? Come on, folks. Be real. But a lot of you who form part of the next 40%,
Your negligence is what have you, a lot of you, eating the bread the devil need, because you give away Grenada, you give away the place, and you let all kind of Drake and all kind of people run amok and think it's theirs. So you eating the bread the devil need today, and you envy the thought that the focus is on youth. You remember sometime in November last year, I told a lot of you, go to sleep, as the Bahamians would say. The Bahamians don't cuss like us, you know. Their way of cursing you is to tell you, go to sleep. Your time has passed, and you mashed up your chances. So give the youth a chance, because if the problems are to be fixed, they will have to fix it. And you were part of the problem. It is time to leave the acting and being on the stage behind and be real, folks. There is nothing to be real about if you're lying to yourself. I know deep down inside you are not happy and you would like to be happy. I know you want more out of life. Here's the thing. Tell yourself satisfaction isn't enough. For we all want more. It's not a question of whether or not it's possible. Conquering is part of your description. It is in your nature to conquer. The will to overcome and produce was designed to be part of your genetic makeup. So I urge you to wake up. What is it that you're doing that made you stop assuming? Stop being curious. Sure, it's hard and it may take some time. Sure, you might lose comfort and sleep. Sure, it might be frightening even. So what? Give it all you got, folks. No more self-doubt. No more self-destruction. We're tired with that. Just self-discipline and self-development. If you consider yourself a child of God, you need to start showing some of your father's traits. Just do it and don't stop working on it until your life has meaning. It's your time as citizens. When this nightmare of nothingness is all over, you will have to take responsibility for what happens at the next level in your life. Are you adequately prepared? That's the million-dollar question. Are you ready for the next level, which is reality? Don't feel sorry for anyone who's not part of this discussion here tonight. Oh no, don't feel sorry for them at all. You know why? It's not their time. Take these pearls of wisdom, do something with them, do something about them, and you'll see how different you will behave. You will see how different your outcomes will be. I want each and every one of you to not take your positive and fruitful engagement with your life up to this point for granted. You know, 2020 and 2021, when they came, we thought we'd get all that we wanted. Not so? Well, those 2 years came to teach us to appreciate all that we have. Education is what we have for formal institutions in this country. Of course, our education is wanting because we are seeing a lot of children, a lot of students graduating, and the basics are just not happening. So education in what we have for formal institutions like our various schools right up to TAMCC is similar to a recipe. What is a recipe? You try to make a cake according to a recipe, everything to the recipe. You know, when you finish, you say, I feel it, I ain't too like that cake. You know why? Because you forgot to put you in it. A recipe, folks, is only a guide. Must be treated as a guide. The education we get from the formal schooling that we have had is only a guide. Let your thirst for more wisdom and knowledge continue to be the driving force in your life's journey. You need to put you into your own life. Hit the road running with expanded knowledge. And in this way, you will find that you will have prepared yourself to receive more. Then and only then you will be able to appreciate that a mind is like a parachute, best used when open. Let's come up for a little air here, folks.
EDDIE-FICATION with consultant human resource development and training specialist Eddie Frederick is powered by Grenada Cooperative Bank Limited and Tillian Group Country Cold Store.
The strength of views and opinions expressed during edification are not necessarily a reflection or representation of the sponsors and or affiliates of this program.
Eddie Frederick has got it all. Inspiration, motivation, great advice, and biting opinion pieces as only Eddie Frederick can deliver. Eddie Frederick has got it all.
Wonderful, folks. Wonderful. Welcome back. I want to, welcome Cynthia, Kendra, Sawandi. Bless your heart, my friend. Silvani, Doris. Who else do we have here? Joanne, Theodore, Samantha, Jennifer, Carol. Carol, bless your heart, my dear. Abigail, Enid, Yvonne, Bree, Glennis, Kenrick, Sherry-Ann. Who else? Jacqueline, Faith Works. Richard, Yvette, welcome, my dear. Richard, who else do we have? Folks, continue to share the live because we have, as we continue to, we're going to crescendo, and it's going up and up and up. So let's see how we can learn as much as we can from this particular experience here this evening, because we have a lot of turkeys to fry. And it's important that we don't get lost in the process. We also have Audrey, we have Margaret, Kendra, Cassandra, Debbie, Maria, and Abigail, and Sam Antha. Blessings to all of you folks. So just continue to remain engaged. Welcome back, folks. Too many of us behave as if life is an event to get dressed up for. Too many of our citizens operate as if the lights are on, when in actual fact, nobody's home. We concentrate on dressing up and looking all nice and dandy. But when we open our mouths, Jesus help us. We are as vacuous, empty as they come. And that is one of the main reasons why we are so easily moved by gossip, especially about who taking who and who is taken by who. We argue a lot about religion, politics, and again, people's business, as if we are authorities on these subjects. I want to advise each and every one of you tuned in here this evening. Today ought to be a new day. And your time has come because God is working behind the scenes to see to it that you fulfill your purpose. Find your purpose, folks. Gossip is not it. Today must mark a new beginning for new thinking. If you really want to claim success as you proceed with your life in order to reap a brighter future, after today, you need to pay attention to how you spend your time after whatever activity holds your attention during the day, whether you work or not, whether it is school or whether it is work. How you spend your time after work is an indication of your expectations in life. For expectations show up in behavior. You are to go out and deliver whatever station in life that you are at currently, a much better self-image from which you and your family can be truly proud. Folks, the story is told of this father who put his son on punishment before he even saw his report card from school. He said to his son, I can tell how you're doing in school just by how you are using your downtime. But you know the reason why people call it downtime? It is because it is the time most people use to get involved in activities that prevent them from going up in life and in their careers. Folks, it is the time most people use to get involved in activities that prevent them from going up in their life and in their careers. The story is told, or the reality has been shared. We have too many people who work in environments and they show up to work on a daily basis to continue the confusion they started the day before. But they expect to be paid. And they will bring the union for the boss. If the boss put them in order and tell them they got to produce, they have a problem with that. Because they want to be on their phone every minute, posting picture of themselves as if they're afraid they lose, supping and LOLing. And they want an increase in salary because the cost of living gone up. Petroleum for the cars, gas is expensive. But they ain't lifting a finger normally on the job. And they call in the union to help hold the boss by throat. So they went to work on a daily basis. You know what? You know to do what? To form a committee to work against the place that pays them. So the place must pay them to work against them. And that happens as a matter of course. Folks, if you know you're one of those, change your thinking. There's some of them who happy to be a shop steward for a union. And then they start to behave as if, well, they're working for themselves now. They forget that even though they're a shop steward, the monthly check is still coming from the place they work, and that their first duty and loyalty should be to the place they work and not the union. And then what happens to them? Their future becomes stymied because they have potential, you know. They could have been moving up in the place, but they find themselves stagnant. I've known quite a few of them, you know, folks. And then when they slip, they slide out on the streets. And most times the union have nothing to offer them. And they just keep going from pillar to post until the next place realize they're very union infested in their mind and in their DNA and in their operations. And they don't go past the probationary period in the many places they work after that. But they continue to do the same thing, getting the same results, but continue to do the same things. Folks, are we retarded? Tell you share the live because a lot of people need to hear this. Wherever you are currently, folks, tuned in to this broadcast, you started simply to finish. Not as you started. You were born for one reason, to die, but not as you were born. We all showed up in this life, folks, to grow through it and not just to go through it. Too many of us here in Grenada are satisfied to just amble through life. And that is precisely why when we die, we are easily forgotten because we ambled through life. We must leave our mark. Our life must have meant something to our society just because we lived. And it is because we never truly lived, we are easily and very soon forgotten as soon as we die. Our island is made up of too many takers and not enough of us evolving and developing to be qualified givers. Jim Rohn said, your life and my life, the lives of each and every one of us, will serve as either a warning or an example, a warning of lack of discipline, drive, and ambition, or an example of objectives clearly perceived and intensely pursued. Therein lies good reason for each of us to maximize our downtime, folks. The reason why most of us do not maximize our downtime is because we are more dedicated to our distractions than we are to our destiny. What are some of the common distractions in your life? You don't have to list them for me, but think about them, folks. I am sure most, if not all of us, have been distracted by the problems of life. But what is really the problems of life? Most of us are distracted by the circumstances that we find ourselves in. But we could change our circumstances. Remove yourself. They put epoxy under your foot. Move. Shift. Most of us are distracted A fuss I don't like he, a fuss I don't like she. And you know the people that you don't like and you do this and you do that, they're faring better than you. Isn't that interesting, folks? Isn't that disgusting? You know what a man told me the other day? A man that a lot of people are known to express dislike for. He tell me, he say, you know, Eddie, I hear you say something on the radio, on the program the other day, and I loved it. The only reason why I eat 3 meals a day is because I can't hold 4. And most of the people who dislike him have to be like fowls scratching around to see what they get. There are some people whose dogs don't have to ask where it is. Instead, they always hear, here it is. Even in this little piece of island here, a lot of people dog eating better than some of them. But they always up in your business. Up inside. Who taking who? And who this and who that. Instead of minding their own business and improving their lot. Folks, spend some time on yourself, man. You'll find you'll get some benefits from that. A lot of them, don't forget, another distraction is the puerile use we put our cell phones to. Many Grenadians think a cell phone is a camera and was invented to sup and LOL. Not enough Grenadians understand that the handheld device they seem not to be able to live without is also a telephone, apart from all the other functions it was developed to perform. And although with the aid of the internet, it is a full-fledged computer with full-fledged capacity and abilities as a desktop or laptop computer, we use it for purposes which do not enhance and expand our knowledge. Folks, sometimes we frighten ourselves by the conversations we entertain with ourselves. How you look at the problem most times is the problem. There's quite a quote I love that someone made up, and as flippantly as it comes across, it has depth. Blessed are those who seek nothing, for they shall never be disappointed. For he who seeks nothing shall end up with nothing. Just a gentle reminder here. Whatever you are seeking in life, folks, it is also seeking you. If by how you live, you're showing, because people show us who they are, even though their mouths would be saying something else. So people try to make us believe they're this, that, and the other by what they say to us. But watch their actions, folks, and you'll see who they really are. And my Angelo say, when someone shows you who they are, believe them. You are invited to aim high with your life. Remembering, of course, if you aim at nothing, you will surely hit it. In fact, it might be the only bullseye you ever hit in your life, because you aim at nothing, you will hit it. Instead, we must affirm to ourselves, to waste my life is nothing but a mortal sin, for it isn't over until I win. How many of you folks want to win in life? How many of you want to win? How many of you consider how you're living now as that of winning? You're winning? Winning what? You may be coming first to lose. If you take responsibility for yourself, you will develop a hunger to accomplish your dreams, as I did and continue to do. This intervention here this evening is born out of the need for us to transition from the last 2 years of uncertainty, fear, and confusion, deprivation, and lack of visionary leadership that can motivate and inspire us to some semblance of normalcy. I hasten to warn you that this so-called normalcy is going to be new. Many parts of it will not be familiar, and it will take a lot of adjusting. Yes, things are appearing to settle a little more than they were when the pandemic just hit our shores 2 years ago. I see mask wearing has been released, or people ease up on that, and everybody glad to joke you making. I taking care of number one. And I don't care if I'm the last man standing or wearing mask, because I don't want the carelessness of this vicarious society that we have here to kill me. Us conscious Grenadians are caught between wondering if the virus has actually subsided, or if it is that we have become accustomed to it, and after 2 years, we are better able to navigate around it. Folks, regardless of whichever, we have to move on, and in the process, we cannot take things for granted. We cannot underestimate the extent of the damage to our mental faculties the last 2 years have actually brought with it. I see Doris is saying the virus did not go anywhere. Blacks in Trinidad and Tobago of soca fame died when things were, released, and a lot of the protocols were eased up and whatnot. Well, that should very well be a warning to us. That should be a warning to us, folks. Take care of number one, man. Go out there and do what you need to do. Some people who felt they could not take the strain have been known to contemplate suicide, and while a few slip through the cracks. There are people right now frustrated as they come by the devastating effects of the aftermath of COVID. The serious part of it, that is, who are reporting that they feel to give up. Folks, a lot of us need mental counseling. The mental toll of the uncertainty has brought with it, not to mention the number of deaths we have experienced directly related to COVID-19 and several others and counting that are indirectly related, must not be underestimated. Insecurities abound in other aspects of life, as impacted by the skyrocketing cost of living and the general downturn in economic activities. Our people need a boost in their mental strength just to cope. We cannot get that from the poor excuse that we have for national leadership, as all they show us they are capable of doing, that is rancor, cantankerous rantings passed off as national addresses. Because we are not known to be a society that is overseen by a system that caters to the wholeness of the human self. We have no focus on the need for national counseling sessions to get our people to ventilate and heal. Folks, a lot of us need counseling. The economic financial impact has been devastating to many who lost their jobs or became underemployed because of the slowdown on account of the several lockdowns we experienced. Our biggest challenge as a people today relates to our attitude to life while we are going through it all. Celestine Chua tells us, everyone faces challenges in life. It's a matter of how we learn to overcome them to our advantage. Too many of our people in the midst of these real life challenges are focused with priority. They're focused on priorities. I don't know. Their priorities seem to be playing a mass, fetting and having a darn good time. Folks, there's enough time for that, don't you think? So much of life depends on our attitude, folks. The way we choose to see things and respond to others makes all the difference. As life therefore gets harder, we are all called upon to challenge ourselves to be stronger. We need to challenge ourselves to become stronger. We need to become each other's keeper again. William James tells us the greatest discovery of any generation is that human beings can alter their lives by altering their attitudes. It's no secret that we all may be experiencing our toughest situation to date, I challenge you to not ask, why me? But instead be daring and say, try me. You can only have this indomitable spirit, folks, when you understand that a mind is truly like a parachute, best used when open. Let's take our final break and we'll come back to wrap this all up here this evening. Really enjoying this.
EDDIE-FICATION with consultant human resource development and training specialist Eddie Frederick is powered by Grenada Cooperative Bank Limited and Tillian Group Country Cold Store.
The strength of views and opinions expressed during edification are not necessarily a reflection or representation of the sponsors and or affiliates of this program.
Eddie Frederick has got it all. Inspiration, motivation, great advice, and biting opinion pieces as only Eddie Frederick can deliver. Eddie Frederick has got it all.
Wonderful. So we're on our home stretch now, and I'm sure a lot of you might have been getting a lot of food for thought. I see the comments are coming in fast and furious, and I really appreciate that. I must thank you very much. For those of you just joining, thank you very much. But share the live as we go into the last segment here. Welcome back. Businesses, folks, are experiencing challenges like they never experienced before. The supply chain has been interrupted, not to mention the freight train has become problematic by way of explosive increases, which have been driving the cost of doing business to uncomfortable levels. Most, if not all, of the changes inflicted on us consumers are out of the control of local businesses. There are two factors negatively affecting the supply chain, which in turn contributes to the scarcity of goods on our shelves. And for those that manage to slip through and make it to our shores successfully, present themselves with an out-of-control higher cost. Folks, the first thing we have to understand and appreciate, China is the largest trading partner for many countries and regions in the world. And so, there is need for them to stockpile containers. With them buying up hundreds of thousands of containers, removing them from regular circulation creates in turn a rare demand for them in our neck of the woods, thus driving the cost per container up. It is my understanding that a container that used to cost US $2,500 to ship is now in excess of $20,000 US. That cost need to be added to the charges of transporting our goods to our shores, and then the duties are charged on the cost of the goods, which are in themselves more expensive already, plus the freight and insurance to get here. Trinidad has addressed their situation. Barbados has capped their freight costs to make it affordable for people. Antigua has addressed it. There are other Caribbean islands. We haven't addressed it at all. We've been charging hototo duties on these expensive freight charges. And that is why a bag of chicken wings that used to cost you $25 is now costing over $40. You don't need a scientist to explain that to you, folks. It's just natural. If the freight went up, the charges must be passed on to you and me. You and me. We are the consumers. We are the buyers. So if government sees it as Tuxedo Junction and they're going to collect hototo, we will have to pay the hototo in return. The other factor that contributes to the scarcity of goods has to do with the number of cargo freighters that are queued up in major international ports in this hemisphere and Europe due to the impact of COVID-19 on workforces all over, thus slowing down the process. So with tens of hundreds into thousands of freighters offline, waiting for berths to discharge their cargo internationally, those would have additional containers which are offline and are available for repeated use. adding to the already scarcity of them, helping to drive the cost further up of all remaining unavailable containers. You don't need a rocket scientist for that. But you see, the phone that you think is a camera could get you that information too. Because you have a computer in your hand. It's a smart device. So stop calling it a phone and stop regarding it as a camera. Before you go to bed tonight, repeat as long as you can, as long as you're conscious. It's a smartphone. It's a smart device. It's a smart device. It's a smart device. It's a smart device until it becomes part of your DNA. And you could understand that if you use it, you will look smart too. There's one other issue here that must be taken into consideration. The stoppage of certain exports from manufacturing countries, as fear of the impact of regular lockdowns may have had on the effect of making commodities scarce in those source countries, impacting the supply chain altogether up to now. Even though they're back on the manufacturing train, doing things. But that interrupted the supply chain. Why am I telling you this, you may ask? This is important background information for you to have to understand the acute situation we are in, especially as we are strapped for resources and must pander to the rigors of consumerism through imports. If we had visionary leaders, we would have been pushing incentives for our locals to start to grow what we eat and eat what we grow. We would have been encouraging local industries to develop and thrive so that we lessen on the import bill while we strive to use this crisis as an opportunity to shore up our independence. But that is not to be, because the Drake-like characters we have around the precincts of local power are not in the business of looking after sustained welfare of our people, but themselves. Employees, I beg of you to listen to this carefully, because businesses know what they have to do to survive. That's loaded, folks. And if you have become a hangers-on, so to speak, you're just hanging on, and you're just reporting to work every day to continue the confusion you started the day before, you would become like tits on a bull, useless, easy to send home, because businesses know what they have to do to remain in business, because the new normal is serious. Change your ways. The people, folks, at the ownership and management levels of all businesses know what they have to do in order to remain in business, as the new normal is presenting momentous challenges for them. Profitability is impacted negatively by all the new unavoidable charges on top of the slowdown in the regularity of imports on account of scarcity of supply on one hand and the challenges associated with freight on the other. The onus is therefore on each of you to rise to the occasion, to realize that the effects will drag on for some time yet before any likelihood that things will ever ease. Put rising oil prices on the world stage together with that, and what do you have? Rising food and gas prices will be around for a long time. We all have to brace ourselves, because this is integral to the new normal. If you are not aware of all these important factors that are in essence threats to your very job security, and you are desirous of coming to work to play the fool, you can be cutting your nose to spite your faces. I remind you that your employers have a duty to take responsibility for the continuity of their business and must make the necessary decisions in that regard. No union could save you. The union needs saving for itself. You therefore must take personal responsibility for your ability to continue as an active and engaged employee of wherever you work. It has finally become easier and far more popular to lose a job than to gain one these days. And the only alternative employment that we have on offer, thanks to the vision of the caring government, that loves the poor and vulnerable is the 2-week jam 3 times a year on the debushing program. Folks, your mindset has to change, you know. Sitting back and carrying the same mindset that we all entered COVID-19 with after it is all over is a recipe for personal disaster. I therefore invite you to consider today's sharing as a medium for redirecting of your outlook on life. Redirect your outlook on life, folks. You therefore to end realizing that the shock of the new and binding realities require serious change. Not small change. Big, huge change. Only through much needed change in your attitude will you be able to reap positive results for your future, a desirable future. Your attitude should be, this is not impossible. It is only difficult. According to Sir Eric Gary of the 70s, the difficult we will get done right away. The impossible will take a little longer. This aftermath can only be successful and successfully weathered at that through improvement in your attitude towards each other as citizens, a focus on loyalty to wherever you work, and gratitude for being gainfully employed at a time when job security is proving to be shaky. It is hoped that this sharing will have ignited some fire in you to put the spotlight on changing your own experiences as you interact with people in the midst of, all your challenges. I look forward to the day, folks, when more of us will become citizens with lifted spirits, dipped in positive vibes and transformative pearls of wisdom to help each of us to cope and refocus, to bring your best selves to each day as we rise, and consequently let that best self impact our daily interactions, whether it is on the job through increased productivity or off the job through just simple, better relations. We can only heal and enjoy a measure of confidence in ourselves when we are conscious of the fact that a mind is like a parachute indeed, best used when open. Each of us must be reprogrammed to believe that we can weather the storm and come out on the other side strong and triumphant, as this too shall pass. I am very aware that insecure people whose foundation on lies, misdeeds, falsities, rubbish, in other words, is shifting. So I expect such people to want to use and engage in the use of insults when they cannot make civilized arguments based on facts, like I have researched here. And I'm even more so now prepared for that than any other time in my life. You ever see waterfall on Kalalu? Beads off. I've never seen waterfall on a duck's back, but I believe it's similar. All I say to such people who, instead of improving the discussion, the quality of the discussion, would love to raise their volume and introduce insults and innuendo and all kind of rubbish and rumors. When you come in, come good, as the dollars don't make noise, but the change does. I'm in, I'm out, and guess what? I'm gone. See you next week, God willing. In fact, last night I wanted to come on, but unfortunately, where I camp in Grenada when I'm here, was on the schedule for load shedding. So this being 2022, we are into our 23rd year of the 21st century, and we are reliving the 70s and 80s, early 80s of electricity generation, load shedding. Yet for all, we're in an election year, and we can hear some people saying 15-0. Y'all gotta be suckers for punishment. Take good care, folks. Have a lovely, lovely weekend. But I know I've given you a lot to think about tonight. I pray and trust that you would think about everything that I've shared, especially the part of becoming memorable when you would have passed on, instead of easily forgettable as most Grenadians have become. Engender an interest in yourselves to become givers, contributors to national development, instead of piling up on top of one another, cussing and making mayhem to collect seed money, because you can't see any other how that you could survive and live. Folks, God has put it in all of us, the spirit of survival. God has put it in all of us through love. If we truly love each other, we don't have to reduce ourselves to that kind of rubbish nonsense. Until next Thursday, stay safe, stay well, and please, 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 I know it's difficult, but remain lifted.
EDDIE-FICATION with consultant human resource development and training specialist Eddie Frederick is powered by Grenada Cooperative Bank Limited, Antillian Group, Country Cold Store.
Living with the pandemic hasn't been easy, but that does not mean that life has to fall apart. Work, play, and take care of your finances from home. Connect with friends on social media, host Zoom meetings with colleagues, and use Co-op Bank's e-banking to pay your bills and manage your funds. Log on to www.grenadacoopbank.com and sign up for Co-op Bank's e-banking.
I want the best for my family, so every meal has to be perfect. Every bite has to say, There's no doubt in my mind that the best in frozen meats and vegetables has to come from the Country Cold Store. Hams, turkeys, sausages, beef, pork, chicken. I just don't know my family is in safe hands. Thank you, Country Cold Store, for being there for us for the past 40 years.
The Country Cold Store, providing the best in frozen meats and vegetables since 1969.
Co-op Bank introduces e-payments, our new e-banking feature that allows you to send money to friends or family. E-payments, the swift, simple, and secure way of transferring money.
Welcome home. Believe in our strength. We'll stand by you. Protection from all perils, big and small. Reassurance we give. It's so glad to see. Peace of mind, that's our service guarantee. We look after all our family. Yes, we do at every opportunity.
Antillian Group, underwriters of all classes of insurance solutions for your protection and investment. Live well financially.
You are offered a wonderful opportunity to win a grocery coupon to the tune of EC $250, redeemable at any of the food fairs. All you've got to do to qualify is like, share, comment, and follow EDDIE-FICATION on any of our social media platforms. This promotion continues for all of April, with one draw on Friday, April 29th. The winner will be announced immediately after advising the said winner. Any overseas winner is asked to kindly transfer their winning to a relative or friend who lives in the state of Grenada. I am extending an open invitation to any individual or company tuned in to come on board and assist with our drive to whip up an interest in getting more of our young people to pull up their chair and pay attention to the instructive thoughts and ideas shared on this program as we seek to edify them to make better decisions that would help to shape a better future for themselves and the future security of the nation as a whole. Join me in bringing excitement to our audience with a chance to win something that can brighten their corner in these challenging times. Reach out and touch someone as regularly as you can afford. Of course, due recognition will be given to you for your active partnership in this regard. Thanks in advance.
Eddie Frederick has got it all. Inspiration, motivation, great advice, and biting opinion pieces as only Eddie Frederick can deliver. Eddie Frederick